Shaquille O'Neal just moved to Texas. Cool. That's what we talk about over here at the old Eighth or Not Fellows. We talk about Shaquille O'Neal's movements and real estate investments. Heck of a guy, that Shaq. Do you think they refer to it as a Shaq attack when he buys new property in your area? I'm sure it's good for home value. All right, I'm waiting to find out if I can.
Audio there?
Do I have audio?
Yeah.
No, but I don't need audio of myself.
Well, no, I want to make sure that you can be heard through this setup.
Yeah, you tell me. All right, we are live.
Yeah.
It would appear we are live.
There we go.
Welcome to live chat. Guard your privacy. No.
Are you getting audio through the live stream?
Salutations. Good to be back on the air.
That was like a sleeper agent trigger.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I've been told that that's a cosplay I should do.
You definitely should.
That like I've got the quote unquote build for it. I don't know how I'd feel about it. The fandom seems pretty messed up. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it, chat. But welcome back. We're rested. We're relaxed. We did our travel back from the Endwar all the way up in Charlotte, South Carolina. Today, the entire team's in. Debriefed a bunch of stuff internally, and I am working on a few fun things. Got some great feedback from Endwar this year. Saw the usual kind of haters afterwards being like, did Endwar even happen? And it's like, bro, I've had a lot going on this year. I'm sorry I didn't, shout it from the rooftops or live stream it for you. But for the 300 players that attended Endwar, they seem to have a really great time, and the feedback was excellent. My team had a good time, which is a really wow. Aiden, I think you're going to be ashamed of yourself someday, my guy. I see we're just trying to curse in the chat. That's cool, I guess. Let's go ahead and ban Aiden. He can come back after he hits puberty with his new YouTube account. But in the meantime, gamer words. Yes, indeed. He says, I'm only 10. All right, let him live. Stand down, Aiden. Final warning. Oh, sheesh. The only cosplay I could see from Drac is the villain from the Goofy movie. I've heard that like a dozen times. I'll just do it. Don't test me. That guy's funky fresh. I don't have his I don't have the most important cosplay accessory for that one. Which is that guy has a crap ton of money and legacy status at an Ivy League university. Bradley Upper Crust III. No, we're Drac Thalassa the first. Maybe my grandson can do the old upper crust. Afternoon's a bear. Good stuff. So anyway, we saw the usual stuff. Dart sweeps up in here, but Endwar was solid, and everyone who attended Endwar had a really good time. I really leaned into my character this year. Wormy designed a great character for me this year. The old Dave Therayubi, CEO of GeoTree, and that was a ton of fun. Had a particularly good time playing Dave. Foam Pro Tour went off without a hitch. I mean, it was exhausting, as it usually is. Nico, I need a screwdriver that's one size larger than this. So take this with you, throw that to Jackson. The Nemesis is just a beast. Dave. I don't think we've seen the last of Dave. Dave was so popular that there's a. We're just talking about Endwar. Dave was so popular with the players that there's a chance Dave will come back. We're already kind of internally workshopping themes for next year. I do I want to give sneak peeks? Sneak peeks? I don't know if I want to give sneak peeks so early. You know, we have some things to work out with the university. Always, I got a fat check that I have to write them. I try not to expose you guys to the greater finances of Endwar because I just want everybody to have a good time while they're there. But Endwar, not cheap. UNCC gives us a good price, but price could always be better. So we did a really good job cleaning up the campus, cleaning up the areas that we were in. Obviously, you know, the more times we run it in a consistent location, the better those relationships get. I could tell you guys a good story about one of the UNCC, their chief of police, and how he and I became friends. That was pretty good. That was a last year thing, but it made it so easy this year to get away with a lot of you know, a lot of our safety regulations were just pushed through without too much muss or fuss, which was very, thank you, Nick, which was very reassuring. I shouldn't need it, but it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, Eagle Scouts? We're doing a Lipo Nemesis mod. We are. You could buy this one if you wanted to. I like to have my hands busy when I'm live streaming for you guys. That's a big part of it. Nate, thank you for your super chat. We'll have to get you a Gideon's cookie next year too. That's a fun tradition. If you guys caught the last live stream, Nate's a longtime viewer of the channel, and he was a guest at FoamCon. He came to the Cool Kids after party dinner. It was a pleasure seeing him all weekend. And I told him that if he super chatted one time in that live stream, and I was like, all right, maybe I'll bring you a Gideon's cookie. And then we did do on Wednesday a dedicated trip to Gideon's. And we picked up 3 cookies. I ate them on the drive up, and then we saved one for Nate. It seemed to be all he ate during FoamCon. I really hope that you got a pizza at some point, because Lord knows we paid for them. Captain Shotgun. It was nice getting to meet you. Hoping to frame it. Let me know if you do, man. That would be awesome. I love getting to meet people at Endwar. I mean, as a standard rule of thumb, there's 2 places on planet Earth that you can guaranteed find Drac. One of which is wherever Endwar is, I'll be there. And then the other one, of course, is DragonCon, where I'm easy to find comics and pop art every year, same place, same time. I did not, in fact, get pizza. Well, then I'm really glad you got the whole cookie, my guy. But we, yes, absolutely. Congratulations to Beef Squad for a back-to-back first place finish in Foam Pro Tour. Truly formidable. I think they're one win away from you know, whatever you would call the proverbial dominance that Dauntless had back in their heyday. It was a great performance. It was exciting to watch. I was particularly impressed since you know, the exciting nature of the double elimination tournament is such that Beef Squad got kicked down into the losers bracket after a very dynamic sudden death situation. And if you've never had the pleasure of watching Foam Pro Tour or Sin Zone played with my rule set, you can definitely tell that it's, you know, my personal tweak on the collaborative Ion Rush, in that it has this really sweet sudden death rule. And sudden death rewards players for having some old school DNA in them, just because it's a series of 1v1s done using vaguely dodgeball rules, vaguely old school NIC 1v1 rules. And so Beef Squad actually lost their sudden death match, which was very, very exciting to watch, very interesting to watch. But after losing that, they rallied and they won back-to-back in a finals and then what's called a grand finals in a double elimination tournament. So they ended up playing Frumble 3 times, both responsible for the other's loss. Both, you know, I say this over the megaphone on the day of, and it gets very heated, but I'm really tired because, of course, I head ref and I head judge, and I have to organize it. And then this year we did it at FoamCon too. So anytime I got a break, I was, you know, signing or photographing or helping the UNCC staff with their thing. And we had an amazing facility. I mean, we got a real basketball court set up. I wish we could have had the main court, but we had 2 auxiliary courts, and then we had the entire area for FoamCon. It was unbelievable. It was really cool. But I forget where I was at. Oh, sudden death. Sudden death's really exciting. But both teams were very good. I mean, the fact that they were each responsible for the other's loss just goes to show you that they're both incredibly competitive teams. I think they've both existed for about the same amount of time. They got a little bit of a rivalry on them. Nobody's going to deny that. But they played very, very well. I don't know. The feedback running the events concurrently seemed to be pretty good from a attendees perspective. Players seem to be okay with it. I will say it was very tiresome for my staff and I. But, you know, that's the nature of the beast. Gosh, is this Nemesis going to be kaput? We will see. I guess something that I wanted to promote and talk about on the live stream, and that's part of what I'm working on right now, is Blaster Barn had a good haul at the event. Chicken bought a lot of blasters. He sold a lot of blasters. He bought a lot of blasters, sold a lot of blasters. But a few of them that have been sitting in the project grade bin, he was like, I don't know, like, you know. And so this Nemesis is a particular offender because we bought it project grade, and it's missing its battery tray. Now, you could tell people like, oh, go get a rechargeable battery or something along that line. But why not take this opportunity while we're live streaming to mod it up, give you guys a real serious value add, lipo it, lock remove it, because these didn't need a lot of help to be lipo compatible. And so if we do that, what are the Mizium motors rated for? They're rated for 2S, but they will run on 3S. The Mizium motors are effectively me experimenting with my favorite motors are Fang revamped. I took the formula for those. I tweaked them a little bit. I'm working with a manufacturing partner that I've worked with in the past to make them a little bit cheaper. I think that they're pretty solid. I actually have a set of them here that I'll be installing in a Nix cage. Rest in peace, bushwhacking, and good riddance. Bushwhacking was a fascinating concept that the UNCC guys came up with, and an important lesson in not railroading your volunteers. You know, Pat and I have run lots of HVZ invitationals. In fact, I would argue that Pat and I have run more invitationals together than any other hosts out there, which sounds braggadocious. I don't mean it that way. If anything, it's a testament to our glutton for pain. They introduced a mechanic. They wanted the budget for it. They thought it would be so cool. They voted on it. They tested it. They filmed it. And, some of these UNCC guys are veterans of the hobby. They know what they're doing. And so we want to defer to them and their expertise within their world, their campus. Some of them are very green. They're completely new. And it's not that they don't know any better. They just don't know it all. But they thought that it was a cool mechanic. They wanted to lean into the jungle theming crews. And I think that you should reward people for being creative. And so when they were like, Drac, can we get $500 for flagging tape? I was like, yes. Why? They're like, we have this great new mechanic. We think it's going to be wonderful. It's going to lean into the theme. The players are going to love it. We tested it, and it works really, really well. I'm like, how does the university feel about it? The university doesn't care. I'm like, well, we're going to litter 40 pounds of tape onto their campus. Yeah, well, we'll pick it all up because it'll be in specific locations. We've run the numbers. We've tested it. We really like it. I'm like, okay. You know, if you believe in it, I'm not going to be the thing that stands in your way. I'll buy the tape. So I bought the tape. They ran it. And it was interesting. I think players, I don't want to speak for the players, but I know the players that I was with, missions 1 and 2. And missions 1 and 2, they seem to be kind of into it. They were like, okay, like we're in the jungle. We're foraging through the jungle. This is a fun new development. We're tinkering with it. We're playing with it. It gives us the opportunity for players to be a little vulnerable to zombies, which you want in the beginning of the game. It wasn't bad. By mission 3, seemed like players were like, okay, that was fun, but we're sort of done with it. Like we'll keep doing it if we have to, but it wasn't a long-term feel-good mechanic. And you know, the focus of invitationals or End War has always been like on the players and the player experience and fun. So the mods started getting pretty lenient on the bushwhacking, and then by the time we were in mission 4, I did away with it entirely. I was like, all right, it's nighttime. You did it. You conquered the jungle. Good job, guys. Bushwhacking over. And so people, yeah, exactly. Michael says most of the paths were already whacked. So that was done. I don't know how Grace is commenting on the stream because she is at work right now. Gracie, what are you up to? Nate, I'll bring Mizium Motors and sell them at Jeb. You don't have to worry about it. If you want to buy them off the web store, you can, but I'll bring them to Jeb. So what exactly was the mechanic? So I can explain that. And this is extremely frustrating because these Nemesis had certain parts of their joints where they did not want to give up. Without the right, let me take a second to see if I can really lean into this. Sometimes you have to break these screws and then come in and so I've got 2 here that are not cooperating. We have a couple of Nemesis. This I could start on Nemesis round 2, guys. Let me take a breather from this. I could send it over to Jackson. He could help me work on it a little bit. I don't know. But if he wants to try and get those 2 screws out, I definitely don't have the time or the energy. I can start working on the Nix cage, which I'm going to solder up for you guys. Yeah, I thought bushwhacking was kind of fun at first. So the way that bushwhacking worked as a mechanic, or the story for End War, was effectively, you've got this guy. His name's Dave Therayubi. He was received much better than I thought he would. People really liked Dave, which is crazy because Dave was a bad guy. Like, Dave is not a good guy. Dave is the CEO of an organization named GeoTree, and he brought his employees to this place called the Zekong Jungle. And the story is that you guys show up and you're tourists, your volunteers, your interns, helping GeoTree with their projects in the Zekong. And Dave is so excited you're there because he's going to underpay the crap out of you. So you show up and Dave's like, all right, first you got to come find me. I'm out in the jungle on an expedition. Then you got to bushwhack the jungle. You've got to dominate the jungle and push the trees back, creating all these paths. And that's, you know, the start of your adventure in the Zekong jungle is you, human player, are pushing back the jungle, which is full of, you know, nightmares and beasties, including, you know, zombies. Mechanically in the game, although Dave thinks the zombies are like forest creatures and that he can slay them and get like custom pelts out of them and all sorts of stuff. Dave is not a good guy. So effectively, players are running around bushwhacking the jungle, and the way that you do that, like in real life, not, you know, imaginary roleplay land, is you take flagging tape and 2 people from your group run the flagging tape out, and then they duct tape it to the ground, creating a path. And then once they've locked the tape down, they've cleared that part of the jungle, and it's safe for humans to run through. And then, you know, obviously, if you run past it or outside of those boundaries, then, you know, the jungle takes you and the wee beasties turn you into a zombie. So in that respect, Nate, thank you for another Also, Dave is awesome, and I can't wait to see him again. See, Dave, we really Stockholmed players into liking Dave. We like gaslit them, and that's probably like Grace and Nick's fault and Wormy's fault more than anything, because players get there and like immediately they're getting their player introductions and their safety meetings, and all the moderator staff is like, Dave is so cool. You're so lucky to be here and hang out with Dave. Blah, 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 blah. So part of why I enjoyed playing Dave is that Dave, by the time players were interacting with Dave, Dave was very popular, um, which was kind of cool. But so effectively, that was bushwhacking, and you're creating these cleared pathways for you to use for the rest of the game. And the intention was to have these jungle pathways the entire time, but practicality ended up taking over. Players kind of got tired of watching their feet. And it's a feel bad moment to, zombify somebody in mission 3 because they run out of bounds. That's not a good, it's not good storytelling. It's okay storytelling. It's just not good HVZ. And again, like our whole goal is that we want everybody to walk away feeling like they had a really good HVZ experience, or as best you can give them in a 2-day event. Simulate that college fun. My only goal once I turned was tagging Dave. Oh, Dave died. Final mission, Dave died. I don't even remember who tagged me. I think it was a college-aged guy. He had a shield. He got me pretty good. Dave was also using a hammer shot in the last mission, so maybe Dave was really counting on his manliness to keep those jungle beasties at bay. But I was waiting on Bobo to poach Dave like he did the Nerf sniper. Bobo should have. If Bobo had come for me, I might have just let him have me. Gotta love Bobo Lolo, who eventually tagged Dave. I wish it was somebody that I knew better so that I could shout him out. But that's the HVZ is chaos. The jungle is an unforgiving mistress. But no, Dave definitely got tagged, and then we played zombie for about 20 minutes as the missions wound down. Dave did make it to final mission Hal, mostly through his sheer manliness and expertise of jungle logistics. I mean, he's a real adventurer's adventure. It had nothing to do with the abject cowardice he displayed multiple times throughout the game, hiding behind human players. Dave's a real character. That little guy Braden ran out of bounds, and we all agreed he should get a mulligan. Then he came for me again and shot me square with a little juking by me. Oh, shoot. Yeah. I love the way that kids play HVZ. I think that they approach the missions very differently than adults from time to time, and that is in and of itself pretty exciting. But either way. So right now I'm stitching together some Mizium motors and a Nix cage. If somebody buys the Nix cage on stream, it'll just come with 2 free motors in it, which I think is a sweet deal. If they don't buy it on stream, I'm going to put it in this Blaster Barn Strife that Chicken bought during the event. Says it needs a little clean out in the battery tray, but I'll finish the build and then we'll sell that on the barn instead. Tiny tank. Yeah, exactly. What was your primary? My primary was a megaphone, truth be told. Old Dave, he likes to lead from the rear, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I used a megaphone. I did mostly moderating this game. I try not to play anymore like in a real capacity. My best interest is in keeping the game kind of balanced and fun and fair for everybody else who's playing. So I'm an okay enough HVZ player that whichever side I am playing for gets a little bit of a bump. So when humans needed kind of a bump in mission 4, the old Dave, he set out with one of the squads, helped them out a little bit. When zombies were needing a little bit of a bump in mission 5, Dave went out of his way to make some of the humans a little more vulnerable. I'm a big, like, whatever's good for the game, right? Good for the sport. This soldering iron is not on. Give me 1 second. This is plugged in. That's why it's not on. It's not on because it has a power supply unit in the back. We are helping establish future conservation. I like to think of this not as moving towards extinction, but instead advancing in towards future conservation. And I think that's part of it. Like, you know, players like the voice. The more in character and fun you're having, as you know, the host, the more fun they're having. You know, it's an excuse to cut loose, be a little best line of the weekend. It was good. So we pre-recorded all of those mission briefings, and I was a little frustrated just technology-wise. This is nothing on the UNCC guys. I mean, they did great, but I pre-recorded all of my mission briefings as Dave. I filmed them here and uploaded them to the cloud. We just didn't have any way to display them. We originally thought that we might be in those breakout rooms, and then people could like open up a laptop, or we could pull them down off of a projector or whatever. We ended up doing the mission briefings in this one huge area, which was better. It was better for consistency. It was better for organizations and logistics. Humans go and come from one room. So that was nice, but it ended up being awful because the AV equipment in there that wasn't a thing. So I couldn't play any of my videos, which was a shame because I wanted to launch them. I worked hard on them, so I wanted you to see them. But if you thought that, you know, we are establishing future conservation was a good line, I did it twice here when I was filming Dave's parts. So I kind of had it on deck. I had a little bit of time to refine the character before the event itself. So that line is in the script for the Mission 2 briefing, which I thought was really funny. I wrote it myself. So I'm glad you liked it. That makes me feel really good. Asmar Colts, a personal question. Do you work a regular job, in quotes, at all? Or does your Nerf business and YouTube support you 100%?
Only with the combined might of Chicken and I alone could we do a subpar job of breaking the script.
Okay, so it is open now.
We're good to go.
All right, I'm going to finish getting this one lineup in this Nick's cage done. This is Nick's serial number 766. If anybody wants it, I'm sure Jackson will tell me if it sells, and you can have the Nick's cage with the motors if you buy this Nick's cage on stream. Just put in your notes for your order that you want 766. If the stream ends and nobody's bought it, then like I said, I'm going to install it in the Strife, and that'll be that. Your best interest is keeping the game balanced. Dave's best interest is causing problems for humans. Oh, shoot. Yeah. I mean, Dave just wants a good game. Good sport. Dave's like somewhere between the bad guy and Tarzan and a goofball CEO. I don't know. Dave's excited to put together some parking lots. Is the interview... Just wondering, is the interview still on the table? Just asking because I haven't heard back. I understand if you're busy. Oh my gosh, I remember something along that line. I'm so busy right now. I would love to. I'll get back to you when I get back to you. I'm sorry. I remember that we had something scheduled and then we had to reschedule it. And it's been a while. I mean, I'm happy to do it. I got to find the right time for it. Yeah, I'll check my Instagram other box because I think that's where I was communicating. And I don't check that box very often. I'm sorry. Thank you for reminding me. To answer the question, do you work a regular job at all, or does your Nerf business and YouTube support you 100%? I am very lucky in that the answer is both, I guess. The Nerf business would include, I guess, so the quote unquote Nerf business is the YouTube channel, and it has other facets. So I've mentioned this on Livestream before. This isn't a secret. I do a lot of corporate consulting within the toy world. Now, my pathway into that profession is very heavily steeped in the YouTube channel. I mean, that's part of what establishes me as a proverbial expert within the space. I also have 2 degrees from Georgia Tech. I'm not shy about that. I think education is a wonderful thing, and I think that if the government will subsidize you doing it, you should absolutely take advantage of it. So I was what's known as a Hope Scholar at Georgia Tech, but because of that, I have multiple agreements in place with within the toy industry, some of which is blaster related, some of which is not blaster related. But virtually all of it, due to the nature of the toy industry, and especially because of my position as an influencer within it, almost all of the work that I do in that capacity is under NDA. So, that can be very frustrating sometimes because I would love to talk more about my quote unquote real job, like what we do within the toy industry, because I think that, that would be very professionally satisfying for me to get to brag about some of the stuff that you guys love and enjoy. There's some advantages in that I don't have to take full responsibility for some of the projects that maybe didn't go the way that I wanted them to, either because of manufacturing constraints or legal hiccups or anything along that line. But so the answer to your question is I like to think that whatever you would consider a real job. I mean, I'm not a waiter at Taverna Plaka. I don't manage a comic book shop anymore. Those were both certainly real jobs, but we do corporate consulting and some design work within the toy industry. And I think no matter who you are, like, that's a real job. As far as the United States government is concerned, it is a real job because we pay a lot of taxes. It's a holistically lucrative lifestyle. Plus, I mean, it's all synergistic, right? Like, expertise within the toy industry lends itself well into influencing within the toy industry, and vice versa. I mean, we have our finger in a lot of pies, and I consider myself, and who wouldn't? But I consider myself to be incredibly blessed to get to do what I love on a daily basis. I have a staff of 5, and they're all just incredible, wonderful people. And I certainly didn't ever set out to be an employer. That's not something that I was looking for out of life, but according to them, I'm at least halfway decent at it. So the fact that I get to share what I like to think is the cool, maybe detour from the rat race with others, while simultaneously doing something that I find incredibly professionally and personally satisfying is a gift in and of itself. I mean, you guys see Pat all the time. You guys actually don't see Pat ever, but he's usually behind the camera. Pat's been my best friend my entire life, and getting to provide, a livable wage and what have you to him. And most importantly, I mean, find me somebody else who gets to spend 5 days a week with their best friend, over the age of 18. And it's not a very common way to live your life. So I consider myself very lucky that I get to maintain those friendships into my adult years. Why are you guys whispering out there?
We love you.
Okay, great.
We love you.
Finishes talking about staff. Staff whispers mysteriously off camera. You love to hear it. Yeah, probably not. I don't know. But yeah, ping pong paddle would be pretty good.
What
are you trying to do?
No.
We have a ping pong table.
We would never plot your downfall while you're right here.
That would be terrible. Drac, I wanted an Endwar bandana, but I didn't play in any of the games. Is there somewhere I can buy a leftover extra bandana? I think we brought some bandanas back, and frankly, I love giving them to people who play. But I have some extra ones. We only got about 300 players. I think I had 600 made. Ray, we should throw the Endwar bandanas. Let's put 50 on the web store. They're
this year's.
Yeah, this year's. They're almost packing material in other orders. I mean, they cost me about $1 a pop. I give them to players for free. If you didn't come to the event, you shouldn't get one for free because it's like real labor for us to pack and ship them. $3. I'll sell you bandanas for $3 from this year's game until they're mostly gone, and then I'll keep some in reserve for props and other things. But yeah, $3 covers. Nick knows where they are. They're wherever we brought them back. But if you put them on the web store, somebody wants to buy them, so that's good. What's the website link? There we go. There's that. If it's getting warm in here, you don't have to like sit in here and monitor.
It's only for the solder.
It's only hot in here because it's hot in here. Is this lead-free solder, or are we just gonna die? Because it's such a small amount of solder that I'm not really worried about it. Ooh, 60-60.
60-40.
60-40. 40% lead. I blow out as I lean over it. Sheesh.
Equivalent of safety squints.
Has Nerf said anything else about Nerf Ball, or can we assume it's dead? I really wanted to see it become something like a professional televised sport. So I guess I can't talk about Nerf Ball on camera. I'm sorry. I like to dance on the line as much as the next guy, but I shouldn't and I can't. I will tell you that in terms of it being a real sport, that has yet to materialize. The Nerf Ball that you saw was commercial photography. And I don't think it's out of line for me to report that. I don't think that Nerf has done anything that would qualify as a quote-unquote real sporting endeavor since the days of dart tag, which was very exciting. But we'll see. We'll see. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what they do with it. It was a pleasant surprise to many that Nerf Pro has 2 new blasters coming out, and I'm really looking forward to covering them. I saw them at my last visit to Hasbro, but I was told that we would have samples before our NDA wore off, and that has not come to pass. So, I did not film with the intention of launching early, and now that they've launched early, the content that I filmed regarding those blasters is not worth. It was very technically minded, not entertainment minded. So I think Luke filmed some stuff. You could check that out there, but I'm waiting on samples to make more detailed, in-depth content. I like to have a more sterile studio environment anyway. Pretty sure Nerf Ball is dead, according to Maritime Foam's video on new Nerf Pro blasters. And he was there. So if that's what he's saying, I will tell you that Nerf Ball was not discussed at that meeting, but I guess maybe he's drawn some conclusions and he's more comfortable speaking about it than I am.
Take a big breath in through the nose.
No, you really want to blow away from you. But it's minimal. All right, so that's stitched up. We could go ahead and... Yeah, this was quite so this is OFD, which is original Fusion Designs. And I guess he's seen my Han Solo outfit a few times. So this is a Meowser, which is a Mauser. And if you know anything about Star Wars, you know that Han Solo's DL-44 heavy pistol is based on a Mauser. There were a lot of German firearms used in Star Wars because it's an allegory for World War II. Crazy. But he thought that was a cool costume, so he made this for me. Just a terrific gift. You got the pseudo wood handle, black body, orange tip, thank goodness, and then the DL-44 scope coming off to the side. I mean, this is a pretty slick piece of kit. I look forward to doing some blaster battles with it and then featuring it, in a dedicated video. You can see it's got a solenoid as its actuation here, and then over here it says low, I don't know what that is, low rate of fire perhaps, and then it's using the band blasters set up for an ultra crush system. So this will hit pretty hard, which it should, because Han Solo's blasting through stormtrooper armor with it constantly. That's why it's a heavy blaster pistol, not a light blaster pistol.
That's good enough. I'd want to see this guy's rendition of Deckard's pistol.
Oh, yeah.
Even if at its core it's just like a jolt or something.
I used to do a lot of cosplay blasters. I made Mal's pistol at one point. It wasn't very good. This is clearly 3D printing it's compared to Vietnam, right? I might be wrong, but I mean the Empire is super World War II German inspired. I'm not going to pretend to be a Star Wars expert up in here, but there's absolutely no denying that. Perhaps the Rebels are Vietnamese inspired, but a lot of the prop work draws heavy inspiration from World War II. It's Vietnam. Okay. If Grace says so, Grace is in fact a Star Wars expert. I will defer to her expertise. Shout out to the new Pro Series Flywheeler having the same form factor as the Pyara. Yeah, exactly right. There's nothing new under the sun, guys. Toy design is all iterative, baby. Nobody's special. Oh, we should set the flywheels in this as long as we're doing it. I'm so good at this. I usually don't need the set screws, but let's see if we can pull it off. If we're still, ooh, he still got it. At least 50% of the way there. Long time no see. What's new? Well, we just got done running Endwar. We had an absolute blast this year running Endwar. Everything post Rochester has been fun focused, and we had a lot of fun this go round, which, you know, that's what it's all about. So had a ton of fun. Ooh, a little more. Drac has to get quiet while he focuses. Not bad, not bad, not bad. All right, we're gonna go ahead and roll this up, put it back in the cage. We'll see if we get it into the strife or not. But if you guys have any more Endwar questions, I'm happy to answer them. Wish that we had like some sort of live stream rig for Foam Pro Tour. Now that we have a really good idea of what the space that we're operating in kind of looks like, maybe that'll be more accessible in the future. But, you know, I mean, again, we did get an awesome setup this go around. All right. Did you guys get this open completely? There were 2 screws that needed to be separated. Did you separate both of them?
One was already separated.
Oh, okay. Well, that's no good. If it's the Vietnam War, then we're the baddies. We being the America side. Yeah, you separated this one. This one's still locked in. It's this one right here. I might be able to get it. Sometimes it's just an application of with the right amount of leverage and an application of force. That's a fun storytelling gimmick, by the way, that Pirates of the Caribbean employed. Better than anything before it is, if you've ever wondered why the original Pirates of the Caribbean movie is so quotable, and you're like, you know, constantly.
But you have heard of me.
Yeah, exactly. Oh God.
It was in there.
What went in there? That was not the one I was talking about.
No, that
necessarily.
was
Good.
Oh, there's been a third?
It's because they quote the movie within the movie anyway. So characters, like the entire dialogue of anytime a character butchers the pronunciation of parlay and then you know, dances through it or disinclined to acquiesce to your request, they're quoted within the same 90-minute runtime, so, or 98 minutes or whatever. So since the characters in the movie think that the dialogue is so good that they're quoting it, it makes you, the audience member, think that it's good enough to quote. But why is the rum gone? Exactly. They also they have enough like real world applicability that people you know, if you have rum and then the rum is gone, you ask, but why is the rum gone? the most famous version of like having real world applicability is the Star Wars quote. But now there are two of them, because there's always two of everything. Anyway, what's the typical melt rate of attendees from Mission 1 to the final stand? I don't really track it necessarily. It's far more common, you could track what you would call the cheat rate. I guess there's plenty of people who, they want to play final stand as a human so bad, so they'll either skip a mission. Yeah, this isn't happening. They'll either skip a mission or they'll, I can start in on this one, see if it's any better luck. They'll skip missions or they'll just come back as a human and hope nobody notices. That's more common than melt. But there's people who get into the HVZ or just running outside 2 days in a row is really exhausting for them, and they might just skip day 2, something along that line. So the melt rate's way higher when you have a 2-day event than a 1-day event. But it goes back and forth. From a game design perspective. You'll have mystery new humans show up for your final stand, no matter what you're doing. You'll be like, where'd this guy come from? Because some people, HVZ is like half storytelling game, as much as it's a Nerf game. I have to remind people constantly that like having great Nerf blasters is really a smaller part of the game than being fast. People like to ignore constantly that. It looks like the bandanas are up on the website. Ray just got them live. If you want one, and a few people will skip for weather. Absolutely, and there's nothing wrong with that. We ended up having the best weather for Mission 4 that we had the entire weekend. So a little irony there. If you chose to skip Mission 4, you missed some of the best gosh darned HVZing I've seen in years. Plus, we had a light drizzle, which cooled everything off. It was really nice. I saw the bandanas are up. I told them. Why is Nerfin Series a thing? Because Hasbro feels like Elite is played out, and they've gotten really cannibalized by being the industry standard. And they wanted to do something that was different / better, but also patentably distinct. And so N-Series is better than Elite if you're just an entry-level consumer to the category. The loss of cross-compatibility will be felt, but Hasbro believes that they'll feel it a lot less than other people might. So, there's a lot of reasons for it. Time will tell if it winds up being a good business move or not, and the way that you as a quote-unquote consumer will know that after the industry decides if it's a good idea or not is if it continues. So Hasbro claims that the line is in the sand and Elite is dead. The 50 cal dart form factor will no longer be supported by the mothership. And so if in 2027 they're making Elite darts again, that means that mission failed. We'll get them next time. Effectively. Print the shirts and I bet they'll sell. So the fun fact there is we have a DTG printer in-house. Every previous year, shirts have been made in-house. Pat made all the shirts. We had more of them. We had shirts to sell. The art this year is great. Like Kat's HVZ art is awesome. It's got the date. It's got the location. It's got a zombie, which is like a jungle beast. Up here, it says HVZ Endwar in jungle font. And then you've got Dave leading the jungle cruise over here. Maverick out, ready to go. Thank you, Nick. And so, we really like the art this year. It's our first year ever doing a normally we split it in the middle and it's asymmetrical. Humans on one side, zombies on the other side. But I wanted to give Catherine a little bit of artistic leeway this year. And she thinks this is her best one yet. And I agree, but our T-shirt printer, our DTG printer is down. It needs a part. The part is $2,000. We spent our money on the game. And so by the time we needed to fix the DTG printer, I was like, oh. So even if we had bought the part, it wouldn't have been fixed in time for the game. So the few T-shirts we have, I got gutted on. When you print them in-house, you can make T-shirts for under $10. When you print them outside of your business, it's egregious. I think I paid $25 a shirt for these, and if I'm paying $25 a shirt, then it's just an exercise in branding. I give them to the moderators, I give them to my staff, but I'm not going to sell them for $30 to make $5 and then possibly have them left over. So it just didn't make sense this time, but we will do it in the we'll get the DTG printer up running, and we'll do it in the future. Igor says dead chat, which is unkind and also untrue. We have plenty of live chatters, and we've been answering questions nonstop. So, Igor, you're not a nice person, and also you're wrong. Yellow team played their heart out in Mission 4. I was so proud of them. They did so good. So that's why in-series blasters have holes in their plunger tubes. They have holes in their plunger tubes so that they come in under a sound rating. That's a dampening thing so that they stay quiet. Love your shades, man. Yeah, 24/7, baby. Gotta have them. I think the website is glitching. It's not letting me add stuff or view my cart. Can't speak to that. Shopify has definitely been processing sales for me today. I mean, I'm seeing them go through. So I don't necessarily know. No, that'll teach him. Yeah, exactly. I mean, as a general rule of thumb, I don't even engage with trolls, but I think, we got the one kid who came in throwing gamer words out at the beginning of the stream, and he's been very well behaved since I called him out. You have to know your audience. My audience is mostly, adult enthusiasts of toys, which means that they're pretty self-aware goofballs. But it's occasionally target demographic of toys, which means that it's, right in those tweenage years where particularly young men like to do stupid things for attention. And so, sometimes if you give them real advice and you meet them at their heartstrings and you're like, Drac, guy you watch who does thing you think is cool, tell you that you're being a goofball and you should cut it out, then maybe, just maybe, you'll straighten up and fly right. And that's a pretty cheap lesson, all things considered, that, if you ever have the pleasure or displeasure of being an internet personality, then you could experience your own self. This on Twitch, this tends to be really good. I firmly believe that in like 2019-20, we might have fixed a radicalized neo-Nazi kid through the magic of just gentle parenting on Twitch. At least no skibbity kids here. It's so funny how the generations pick the silliest things to fight over. Like, let's focus on how millennials and Zoomers both have significantly lower percentages of the wealth pie than they're supposed to at this point in time in our history. But no, let's make fun of Skibbity Toilet. No, I'd listen. If the Skibbity Toilet kids want advice on forming S corporations, I'm here for that. I will happily teach you how to start getting your fair share. That's the real Phantom Tax was learning how to file for LLC status. I wonder. Gosh, there's some people in their 70s that Nerf for sure. I know them. Why is the Nemesis so bad to take apart?
Is that one not working either?
Yeah, I mean they're both disasters, but
Nice.
I'll keep playing with it and then I'll switch over. Do you have kids? Not that I know of. No, there are no vamplets as of yet. But actively trying. That's a fun one that and that gets a little too personal, so we'll rewind this and go back to blasters and HVZ and fun after this quick statement. But I struggle greatly, given that it's super obvious, as a guy who works professionally and goofball wise in the toy industry, it's very, very clear to me that when I have children, they could be very involved in my work, and they could be, publicly presentable, valuable entities. But I don't think that makes for a good childhood. I've met Ryan once, and just a deeply unfortunate situation there. Some people are like, oh, that kid's so lucky, he'll never have to worry about money in his life. And I'm like, I would not trade that kid's level of worldview and social perception for any amount of money. And I would never do it to, a kid of my own. So it's just kind of complicated. You watch a lot of parents in the toy industry approach this conundrum differently. And I think I would handle it a little differently. So if and when I am so fortunate as to be successful, I don't know if I'll tell you guys for a long while. We'll see. Kind of depends on a lot of different factors.
There would be signs.
Yeah, you would. There would be signs. What was the average age of players at Endwar? College. Some parents, some children, those average out to about college. 25-ish would probably be my best guess. Mane and tail, baby, keeps you young.
It's true.
Your hair looks better in person. Where's the Pantene Pro endorsement? No, I use horse shampoo. It's not a joke. Yeah, I've been using mane and tail my entire life. I like to say it's because I'm a stud. I'm a stallion. I need a luscious coat, which it advertises on the bottle. The real truth is that with Hellenic genetics, you need something that really covers the whole body. It's mane and tail and body. And I might have the average hair volume of a thoroughbred stallion.
No, by all means.
Keep going. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, it's good stuff. Bro, I don't even know who you're talking about. Like, you've picked someone who live streams regularly, and you're like, they get more live stream views. Yeah, and Mr. Beast gets more YouTube views. I'm not in a competition with anybody except for myself, Igor. Do you have lots of live stream viewers? Does it make you feel good to cut other people down? I'm guaranteeing you that if I click on your generic YouTube icon, I will find a channel that is not, putting up major numbers, bro. So it's always very strange, people who want to compare and contrast, but they don't want to use themselves as a reference point. Like, people are like, it's the same kind of energy that you get when like elementary schools are like, my dad could beat up your dad. And it's like, bro, your dad isn't fighting anybody. Nobody's fighting. This is a weird thing to do. This guy that I don't know, who has no idea I exist, gets more live stream commenters than you per minute. Okay, great. I'm super happy for whoever this generic person you've pulled out of thin air is.
You have unintentionally plugged mane and tail.
Yeah, I mean, God, I wish that I was getting a referral cut there. No, mane and tail is great.
You should.
And if you like my hair, again, like Nico, who is one of your moderators, a good friend of mine and a member of my staff, also uses mane and tail. And let me tell you, that lad's got a mane and a tail, but I don't know if you saw that part. He's dying! This is the kind of improv that when you got to be on all the time,
You want your degree or you want mine? You earned both.
Sheesh. Nico's actually way better at acting than I am. He was easily the standout moderator. People wanted to be part of Nick's squad because Nick is so fun and friendly. Man, is the gosh darn foam dart Don. I remember he disclosed he could have worked for real firearms manufacturers, and MC inspired me. Oh, Allie, you flatter me, dude. Thank you so much. I've had the extreme pleasure of working within the firearms industry on a couple of occasions. Mostly for tactical gear companies. I've done 2 projects with different tactical gear companies, which at this point are old enough that I can discuss both of them. I think I can definitely say that I've worked with the Car Firearms Group on a couple of different marketing campaigns, which is part of why I have so many car toys. You know, I have a Jericho, which I really like. It's a fun, you know, pretty basic 9mm, but it's also Spike Spiegel's gun, which is sort of cool. And the Spike Spiegel. And then I also have a pretty unique Cerakote job on a Desert Eagle, which of course is 50 cal, because if you're gonna have a range toy, it should be a range toy. And then what's the? I'm trying to remember the name of the one company I could talk about in this space. Victos. I've done some work with Victos, but I don't work with Victos anymore. I haven't gotten a check from them since pre-COVID, but they made pretty good stuff. These days, it sounds bad. I liked Victos. I think that they make a quality product at a pretty reasonable price. But these days, I am so all in on Katanica. It's not even funny. I wear Katanica. My staff wears Katanica. I buy my staff Katanica. Nick, are you wearing Katanica right now?
No, they're in the wash.
Got you. Nick is washing his Katanica because you wore it to Endwar, exactly. These are Katanica shorts. If you see me and my staff, they tend to be wearing a lot of Katanica gear. No sponsorship, no collaboration, no royalties, no nothing. Katanica, hit your boy up. Yeah, the two items that I use on a daily basis the most are I wear darn tough socks and Katanica shorts, and I receive absolutely 0 commission for telling you guys that. They just make incredible products. They're both made in America by Americans. They both come with lifetime warranties. I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for high quality American craftsmanship. What can I say? What's up, Gussa? GU5A. Gus, I'm going to call you Gus. Thanks for joining the live stream, man. Glad you could catch me live. Very cool. Nico was awesome. Nailed the accent and the outfit. He's just a handsome lad. He's just a handsome lad. Were there any international players present at Endwar this time? Just a couple of Canucks. We've had Scots. We've had Singaporeans. We've had Hong Kong natives. We've had gentleman from Mexico who comes up almost every year. And then I see him at Jared's, which is much easier for him. He flies to Endwar, but he drives to Jared's, not very far. When's the next Ren Fair? I don't know when I'm going up to Atlanta for Ren Fair. I love the Georgia Ren Fest. I think it's great, but it's my understanding that there are 2 in Florida. There's the Brevard Ren Fair, and then there's one further south. I'll probably go to one of those this year or next. Drac, do you still have the Master Chief cosplay? I do still have a set of Mark V Mjolnir armor. Yeah. Wore that to a children's hospital, the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, twice. I think that if you have anything that cool, you have an obligation to share it with those who might get something out of it. Do you think Rival will continue now with Nerf making the 14+ dart blasters? I think I'm allowed to say that Rival is not going anywhere. At least per the things that I have been disclosed, Rival has at least another 2 years in the tank. Lady of the Lakes Ren Fair. Both have been kind of declining. That's a shame. Real shame. Real shame. I worked as a street character at the Georgia Ren Fair long ago. Behind the scenes was real interesting. Bro, were you there when they ate that guy? Can I talk about that? I think that legally is done. But yeah, the behind the scenes of the Georgia Renaissance Fair, the camp out back with all the actors and the vendors and their tractor trailers and their they're not tractor trailers, they're actual trailers, their RVs, their campers, etc. That is a crazy time. I've stepped back there a couple of times for like some oh, let's sit about the campfire and have mead and tell stories. And they're like, remember when we ate that person? And I'm like, you've described a crime, not like one of the small ones. Like, that's a big one. They're like, no, they were already dead. I'm like, oh, I still think it should be illegal. Kind of crazy. It was a constant party. Yeah, I mean, Ren Fair people are already, they got a little bit of that carny culture in them. And then you combine mead and fun and a police-free campsite. And you listen, I'm firmly a fan of being on the other side of the Georgia Renaissance Fair. Attendee all day long. I have no need to be in the camp. Absolute carny age. Yeah, carnage. Georgia Ren Fair is top shelf. It is genuinely, it's worth making the trip if you have a place to stay. And right now, people have been calling for the end of Rival as long as we remember. Yeah, I mean, they're dominant in the space. So financially, it makes sense for them to stay in it. I mean, if you look at the sales numbers, like every time a new Rival blaster launches, it does well. And ultimately, as much as like occasionally, Dart Zone or Zuru will give the hobby a little love letter, a little scratch and tickle. Hasbro just, pure profit, follows the shareholders. Decisions are made in that regards, and Rival is profitable, so Rival is going to stick around. I don't know what's happening.
Assassination.
It is good for arenas too, Klotz. I'm getting yanked. I don't know if that's on camera.
We just got the blade.
I've been while you were studying the Fortnite, Jackson was studying the blade.
You are barely out of frame.
I don't think you're in frame. I think you're doing a lot of gaffer work here to just mine it open. That's the Rival Caliber and U. Those are cool. Those are very cool. Don't have to worry about stepping on it either. Gel, short darts, Rival, and Hyper are all in the 14 plus category despite having different levels of performance. They're all in the 14 plus category for legal reasons. It's exclusively KED based. It has nothing to do with, their category is quite large. If Rival replaced Vortex and N Series replaced Elite, then what will replace Ultra with it being dead? I don't think they're looking to replace Ultra. I think, you could say that N Series is a combination of Ultra and it's not happening. Ultra and Elite. I think that's probably how they would spin it. They would say that they're how epic was the last stand this year? It's pretty good. It's pretty good. They whittled down from 60 humans heading into final mission. Then there was a blender, and after that there were about 20, and then after that they picked a hold point, and then after that there were about 5. And I imagine if you were in that final 5, you were really feeling the brains. It was probably pretty cool.
What side were you
By that point, both. By that point, Dave died in the 60 down to 20 or so, and so Dave threw ye old bandana in an upward direction and took it from there. This is gonna be cool. We'll put this one on Blaster Barn after we're done with it. Oh, that's right. That's right. The rewire in this case was not quite so simple. That's okay. I like rewiring these. All right, that's gonna come out. There was one more over here. Yep, memory serves. What are you making? Jackson bought a Nemesis that didn't have a battery tray for Blaster Barn. And we were like, well, what are we going to do? Are we going to sell it as a project grade blaster? Yada, yada. And I was like, well, I want something to do with my hands while I talk on live stream. So I, back in the day, your boy Drac modified a lot of blasters. And I'm happy to do some tinkering, get some good in while chatting with you guys, talking about Endwar. This year's Endwar just finished up this past weekend. Had a blast. If you weren't there and you're in here, then I wish you were. I wish you were there. That would have been great. Notable people in chat that were missing from Endwar this year, breaking my heart, are Dart Sweep. Dude just brings good vibes to any event he's a part of. Chance, who's one of the best volunteers around, hence why he is a moderator of the chat. And then Spam. I was really bummed that Spam couldn't make it this year. Professional obligations prevented him from joining us for foam flinging glory. But all that stuff. Wish it wasn't so far from Germany. Would have loved to have you two and you, random citizen. No. You know, if you're in the chat, then you're familiar with the work, the form, etc. And it would have been great to have you there, but everybody can't make it all of the time. The tragedy of our times. Okay, let's snip all of this. Swing. So if you've never done a Nemesis, that's what the beating heart of your Nemesis looks like. Over here, you've got a positive and a negative coming off. You got to make sure that all of these are aligned properly as you desolder, resolder. I think if I crank this up, I can pull the whole board off in one, but it's got a couple of these nodes here and here. Got to pop those off just because they're attached. This bad boy is a little dirty. Some kid played with this outside, might have left it overnight once or twice. But the working bits are good. It looks good. Second year in a row on the holiday week. Yeah, you hate to see it.
Nemesis was on the Pantheon, right?
Bro, this guy is legit the man. I don't know what he's talking about. How did combining FoamCon and FPT go? It was good in terms of people, like attendees, people watching the sport. That was good. It was good in terms of saving money renting one venue, a large venue instead of two small ones. It was good in terms of people having something to do that entire day all the time. If you weren't actively playing on the field, you could go hang out at FoamCon. You could do meet and greets. It was bad selfishly. And I'll say, you know, selfishly, humbly here, it was bad in the sense that, you know, I head ref and I head judge FPT every year, with the notable exception of the time that I was forced to commentate. Players expect that. I wouldn't say it's a stressful job. It is. No, I won't front with you guys. It is the hardest part of the tournament is head judging and reffing it. And so it takes a lot out of me to do it, but I do it because I love this game. And I want everybody to have the best possible referees and the best possible experience. And obviously, you know, those who are very seasoned players tend to make really good referees. So I ref. I'm always surprised by other tournaments where the person who is theoretically running the tournament also participates in the tournament. I think that that's you know, an interesting choice, but unfortunately, that means that people who came to FoamCon to meet Drac did not get that opportunity, because when people would come up and be like, "Where's Drac? I drove from Tennessee. I drove from, you know, Missouri. I want to meet Drac." You know, my staff had to tell them like, "Oh, he's doing this tournament thing," and then they come over to the tournament. They can't get on the field because we're busy running the tournament, and they, you know, it's not that they have a bad experience necessarily. This is a unique opportunity to label this. I will label it instead of actually labeling it. I'm just going to take my hot wire here and I'm going to plug it in with the understanding that I'm going to connect down and around like this. And I'll do that this way. But it meant that people who wanted to meet me at FoamCon didn't really get the amount of face time that I usually like to dedicate to that. I like to sit at my booth. I like to meet people, sign things, take photos. I didn't get that chance because I reffed almost the entire time. And then even worse than not getting the opportunity to do it, the couple of times I took a break away from the tournament to either give my refs a breather or so that we could have a lunch break for players or everything. I was so, focused on getting my food in me or, using the restroom, washing my hands, washing my face, etc., that I felt bad that people were like, Drac, there you are. I wanna meet you. I want to tell you about my blasters. I want to, introduce you to my family or what have you. And like normally that's my favorite part of FoamCon is getting to meet people. And instead I was like, yeah, man, like that sounds great. Cool story, bro. But I have to pee because I haven't left this field in 4 hours. So, not me at my best in terms of meet and greets, sadly. But from an attendee perspective, I think it was good, and we might continue to do it. I just need to either stagger it in some sort of way or find the time and the energy to get away with, being my best self for FoamCon. Right now, if you've never seen I don't know how much detail you guys have on this. I've soldered into here, and now I'm splicing into here. I've split the wire without splitting the interior of the wire, and then I'm going to use a small screwdriver to bisect the threads inside like so, creating a little gap there, and then I slip that gap over the pins, and this prevents me from having to remove the motors, which, tends to be a frustrating time. So after I do that, I kind of push it, pinch it. It's just like Daft Punk said, rewrite it, You want to make sure that you have a relatively stable electrical connection. And you come in, you lock it down with solder. These motors tend to be pretty resilient, but they're not quite hobby grade motors. So you got to be careful to not melt any of the leads. Saved up 3 years by selling blasters and commissions to afford going there, so family budget wasn't impacted. Sorry to hear that we are a bit far away for you. Enjoyed meeting plenty of new and old faces this year. Had a great time. Bro, Old Fusion, I was just talking about the Mauser. This is so cool, dude. Thank you so much. Seriously cool product. Brought it back down here. Excited to do a full video on it. I think it's just the bee's knees, man. Thank you so much. Thanks for attending Endwar. Thanks for vending at FoamCon. It was great to see you. Have someone else ref. So the more refs you have, the better the tournament is. The issue being that head reffing is tough. And I don't know if I would put that on anybody else as of right now. You probably could, but Jinxie, do you want to say hi? Yes. Say, I want to say hi. It wasn't an Endwar without Jinx. Here she is, guys. She says, hello. I come to work with my dad. I do that because otherwise I'd be at home and I would yell at birds all day. Isn't that right? Yeah. Sweet girl. Sweet girl. Good Jinxie. All right, go down there. Go find Pat. Good girl. All right, so then this line comes all the way over here, splices into this. If I'm looking at this correctly, pretty sure this is line out. This is line in. So we'll desolder this and just keep in mind where we want to resolder. Dirtle, hey. This one's going to come off any minute now. Jinxie, you don't want to be here right now because now there's hot solder. There it is. They put such nasty glue on this.
You do a bit of light.
No, I'm good. Thank you, though.
Yeah,
Ooh.
that's what I'm here for. That's what I do. That's what I live for.
Oh my gosh. See, I told you. Nick's got Ursula on deck. You weren't expecting that. You didn't know that was coming. We'd love to see you at our little event. For sure. It was COVID time, so had to wait. Not much going on. Yeah. If you were using an AccuStrike dart in Elite Blasters or using pinpoint darts in an Ultra Blaster, you could have had more effective range than the Nerfin Series. I don't think that that's maybe effective range. I don't know. I mean, the N Series is not bad. If you're looking for like a performance-focused replacement, then I think you're going to be disappointed regardless. But if you go into it with kind of an open mind, I think it's pretty good stuff. This will go all the way. I'll have to mess with this a little bit. I don't know if I'll finish this on live stream, but I'll definitely finish it and get it up onto Blaster Barn soon. Gosh, it's amazing how without the locks, you can just really clean these suckers up electrically, guys. I'm unsure of Nerf Series. We'll see. I'm curious if they'll continue their license lines like Fortnite and Roblox with the new N1 darts. They will, but it'll take a little bit of time for it to settle through. There's about 12 months in the pipes of design and development there that, those are in-strike blasters that we'll see, but then there's certainly plenty of them that will not. Is that confirmed? Sure. Yeah, I mean, I've seen them. It is confirmed. I think there's some that are on the shelf already. But yeah, they're moving forward with N-Series for all licensed products moving forward. Okay. That's there. That's there. How did Blaster Barn come to be? What was the idea process? I wanted to hire Chicken for a really long time, is the truth. Chicken's just an incredible guy. And what's going on here? Oh. But what was I saying? I just got interesting news. Not the streamer instinct to fear his phone because of the Dr. Disrespect nonsense. No, I wanted to hire Chicken for a really long time. Blaster Barn is. This would need to be bigger for me to read it, but pretty close. The hobby needed something like Blaster Barn for a really long time. The hobby kind of had a bunch of little Blaster Barns in the form of, little mom and pop blaster trading posts, things like that. Were pretty well received, pretty tried and true. But nothing online necessarily. And we really, we deserved something that was more accessible to everybody than just an on the field once a month kind of like melting pot. Not everybody has access to good thrifting. Jackson's really good at thrifting. So it was an excuse to kind of, yeah, it's better. It was an excuse to kind of hire Jackson, get him into our pipeline, bring Chicken back into the hobby, and provide a service that the hobby, is desperately needed for quite some time. And it's good. I mean, it's good for people who want to get out of the hobby to have a one-stop shop where they can get a fair price for a lot of their stuff. I mean, Nerf blasters are high volume, high weight, low value most of the time. So unless you're selling to a specific clientele, you wind up in a real ice to Eskimos situation, which, if you're unfamiliar, is the financial principle that if you're selling ice, you probably shouldn't be selling it to Eskimos. They have ice and they don't want them. So hobbyists don't want to buy stock blasters. But lots of people wish that they could buy vintage or lightly modified or stock blasters. So what Blaster Barn does is it gives hobbyists a way to sell things that they don't want to sell or that they couldn't otherwise sell. And it gives casual enthusiasts a one-stop place to get lightly used blasters like a Play It Again Sports or a GameStop model without having to filter through, tons and tons of eBay garbage. Are they no longer making Roblox blasters? Can't speak to that. Can't say anything about licensed product. You understand. Blaster Barn is a great hobby resources. I've gotten a lot of hard to come by. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the prices on it are really good. The organization is really good. Chicken's customer service is legendary. And then, there's just people who are like, I'm moving and I want to sell 20 blasters. And you're just never going to sell 20 blasters. You're going to take them to a Goodwill or something along that line. But now you come to an event where Blaster Barn is at, you can sell them all to Chicken all at once. And in addition to just the feel good of knowing that you're quote unquote recycling them back into the hobby, we will give you a little bit of cash. We're not quite as bad as GameStop. Meant to ask about new motors at FoamCon, but didn't have time with FPT and all. Could you tell us a little bit more about them, use case, voltage, etc.? So I just plugged some in. These are Mizzou motors in a Nix cage. They are 2S motors designed specifically for the ability to overvolt into 3S, and they have slightly different specs than Fanged revamped, but they were cheaper to produce for me. So Fang revamps are my favorite motors. I wanted to make something a little different that could be my new favorite motors. Mizium motors. And so I got to get my little jokey joke in, and I'm excited. Excited for other people to use them. I sold, a couple dozen pairs at FoamCon, and I think people will really dig them. Drac, what's your favorite blaster? I like the 1995 Nerf crossbow. I think that's been unchanged for a very long time in the hobby for me. It's not a surprise to longtime viewers, but that is mi favorito. Me gusto mucho. El 1995 Nerf crossbow. Nick, who is a fluent Spanish speaker, just threw up a thumbs up in the background because I don't know the word for crossbow in Spanish. I imagine it's something like baliste, but...
Oh no, I'm gonna let you ride with this one.
No, you're just hang myself? All right. Hey Siri, how do you say crossbow in Spanish?
In Spanish, crossbow is
Ballista. I was pretty close. That Latin root origin will bail you out. You were gonna get there.
See, now you can say you did without my help.
I used the magic of entirety of humans' knowledge in one robot square. Pocket robots ruined knowledge retention. People used to remember things when they had to go to the library or look it up in an encyclopedia or ask an expert and trust them to be right. Like it used to be, if you were like, how tall is Eminem? You had to really go through the hoops to find out. Now you can just Google it, which means that you won't remember it because you'll forget it immediately. But it used to be knowledge meant something. Now we have access to knowledge perpetually, and people are significantly less smart because their knowledge retention and ability to speak on camera is significantly worse, which I think is a great shame. Information should be more valuable, but we've cheapened it. It used to be if you needed to know how to make a bundt cake, you had to like call your grandmother and write it down and carry it to the grocery store and then buy the things. Now you can Google it in the middle of the baking aisle like a dunce. And maybe bundt cake should be more accessible. Maybe I'm a curmudgeon.
How do you make a bundt cake?
Like a regular cake, but in a bundt tin.
He's killing it.
Then I put a little glaze on it.
Absolutely moitoing it.
Sometimes I will forget what to search. That's what I'm saying. You never would have done that back in frontier times. If you had to ride a whole day into the general store and ask for knowledge about like the seeds you had or whatever, like how much light does corn need? Should I plant it on the western or the eastern side of my farm? Like if you had to work for that knowledge, you would never forget it. Your little farmer's almanac Bible would be a big deal. This is embarrassing how destroyed this post is. Oh my gosh. Do I just snip it and be done with it? I think that's the answer. Called it. It was never getting any better, lads. It was not improving. That's Drac's unpopular opinion for the day. Drac, huge believer in higher education when subsidized by the government. Drac thinks that everybody should study as a lifelong passion and pursuit. Also, Drac thinks knowledge should be harder to acquire. These are not necessarily different opinions, but they sound like they are. I used to be able to win card games by building better decks, but now it's not really possible. Yeah, now people just net deck. And easily play at a higher level. Yeah, I mean, make a case for both sides. Pat builds most of my decks. He's a really good deck builder, but it would be dishonest to say that he does not use tournament results to guide him in building decks. Good to see you, Desert Fox. I am well. Well and good. Did anybody buy this Nick's Cage? Or am I putting it in the Strafe? It is $450. I think I'll probably sign off pretty soon. So if anybody has any questions about Endwar, I'm happy to answer those in the time we have remaining. If you don't have any questions about Endwar, that's fine too. You think in 5 years we will get an N2 dart from Hasbro? It'll be more than 5 years if that happens. But this is their first 3-part dart, so I think they're pretty locked into it for the time being. Will Dave be a Zomboss next year? We'll have to wait and see. I really liked playing Dave, and I think that Dave is a fun character that players enjoyed. There's no denying that. So the question then becomes, what do we do with Dave outside of Jungle Cruise? Because Dave's not really made for the real world. I don't think he's gonna last very long out there. So the question is, Dave would be a really good like bonus NPC, and people from previous years would like seeing Dave again. And the Dave outfit is pretty easy for me to store and throw on, but he does not fit very well in the theme of this coming year's Endwar. If we go with the theme that we've been workshopping. Obviously, you know, UNCC will weigh in heavily in the theme. We don't like railroad or strong arm anything over here. I want to know what their thoughts are, but you might not have seen the last of old Mr. Therayubi there. You have to pay to play an Endwar. For the first 7 years, the answer has been no. You know, I constantly think that maybe that'll change just because Endwar, I lose money running Endwar every year. So it's a lot of work, and then it costs me a lot of money. And, you know, I'm starting to think that I'm crazy for doing that, but the truth is I just love it. I love the game. But attendance has been free for the past 7 years. that we've run it. There's a chance that we might get around that by like charging for FoamCon or something in the future and seeing if people are willing to donate for yield entertainment. But, you know, counting on people to subsidize your event can be tough, especially when they're, like I said, they're largely college students and, you know, they'd much rather spend their money on food or their education, but it has been free so far. Who's this Dave I keep hearing about? Dave was the character that I lived inside of for most of this year's HVZ Endwar. He's the CEO of GeoTree, and he was really excited to turn the jungle into corporate resources. So Dave was not supposed to be a good guy. In fact, I think that if you anagram him down, Dave Theriubi anagrams to the very bad guy. But players loved Dave. The staff really tried to convince people to love Dave, and they obliged by being like, Dave is great. We love Dave. Many great things have tried to make the transition from free to paid. The flops outnumber the successes. Yeah, exactly. It's a hard sell for some people.
We value accessibility. Everyone should be able to have fun.
Yeah, I want everybody who can attend Endwar to attend Endwar. I like to think that like a $10 entry fee would let us expand the event in terms of like what we give people. Because like right now we give people, you know, everybody gets a free bandana, everybody gets access to water stations and resources like that. That's largely safety. We have medical equipment that we pay for so that any scrapes and bumps and bruises get taken care of. A lot of the props people get to take with them. We gave away, you know, 1,000 buttons this year. And like genuinely all of that is free. We pay the university for their space, insurance. I haven't put the numbers together just yet because frankly, it's the most painful part of Endwar, so I like to save it for afterwards. But yeah, I mean, I love, if you buy the merch, that's huge. You know, the profit margin on the merch is pretty good. You know, a $5 pin does not cost us $5 to make, but it's a lot of fun. So we're constantly thinking that, like, you know, so we didn't do metal coins this year, completer coins, coins that you get for completing the event. We did not do that this year because we spent all of the money on literally everything else. That's the kind of thing where if it was like, oh, you know, to come to FoamCon is $10, then making the coins is a no-brainer. But yeah, I appreciate that you'd pay $10 for Endwar. The question is, like, would everybody? You know, people who are in the live stream and care about it and want to, you know, follow the adventure so far are clearly the top end of passionate players. And for them, they'd pay $50 to go to Endwar, right? For a better Endwar, they would contribute to their entertainment. But, you know, it's hard to say. We've tried it in the past and it was received very poorly, partially because of HVZ culture and partially because of a lot of misunderstandings about the 2022 game, but you know, we've moved past all of that. What's up, Willis? Good to see you in the chat, man. You are right here in time for the end, so if you want to be our last question, you should sneak it in now. And then we are going to wind it down. I'm going to shut down my my soldering iron here. I'm going to kill the back end of that. Finish this up tomorrow. Probably not live, but you'll see all of these items show up on Foam Pro Shop. No. These won't be Foam Pro Shop. These will show up on Blaster Barn. The rewired Nemesis for lipos, and then the Strife. Did you see the misplaced moose made a Helsing castle? I know what some of those words are. I don't know who the misplaced moose is, but if they made a Helsing castle, that is pretty awesome. I'd have to look into it. It's one of my favorite cosplay blaster hybrids from back in the day. And when I look back at that blaster, I'm like, wow, I am so glad 3D printers came along because that is not my best work. Oh, I do know that combination of letters and numbers, though. When are we going to have you bring a team to a tournament? Hoping to see you at a tournament again. We'll see. Good to see you, Jang. I really wanted to play in the 3v3 happening in Atlanta next month, but I have a professional obligation taking me, ironically, of all places, to California that weekend. So I'm going to miss that event because of travel, and I think that that's like kind of the story of like the last 2 years. I mean, work has just been so busy and so stressful, and there's so many things that in the company only I can do, where there's like no substitution for me being there. That like I wanted to go to Maryland Mayhem and I had to be in Japan. I wanted to go. Like there's a lot of things where if it doesn't get put on my professional calendar early or it's not a paid opportunity, I can't justify taking that away from my staff. So, I really wanted to play in the ABC tournament. I thought that would be amazing, really good fun, and I want to support everything that Josh is doing with the SENC and all the roots that I put down there. But, I can't not be in California that time, and I can't be in two places at once. Has RAG put out its schedule yet? I don't know. I get tons of complaints, whether I put it out 6 months in advance or 3 months in advance or anything, about how I'm not posting my events soon enough. I go to the Ragnar Oktoberfest website and it looks like we're still talking about 2023. Can I buy a ticket for 2023? Speaking of paid events, no, the tickets are offline. Good. Wait. Yes, they are offline. So yes, October 11th through 13th. You should put that on the website, bro. You have a website. But then my Octobers are really busy now because I run a special event down here. So, RAG is going to be October 10th through 13th. But then I'm loading in an event from the week of the 17th through the 24th. So I could exhaust my staff going all the way over there and coming back, but then they'd have no downtime. That seems unfair to them. So it's just tough. It's tricky. I'll put it on the calendar, but I would love to do that. Same as the Canada thing. I didn't get the chance to go do that because of my October schedule, and round and round and round we go. I'm working on an event that'll be a little more casual, with a November, December kind of framework. And when that happens, the October event is the one in Ragnar Oktoberfest, unless you're referring to the professional obligation chance, in which case you know what it is. But I'd love to do a slightly less serious event in November, December, kind of revisit Cold War and all the things that made that really cool. We'll have to wait. Time will tell. Where can I find all the foam flinging events? You kind of just have to be plugged into the community right now. I know that there have been a few attempts to unify like a concrete Nerf event calendar, but you can never really tell details of like, is this a huge event? Is it a small event? Is this 8 people in a church? Is it a massive invitational with like thousands of dollars behind it? Hard to say. So I think the, what do they call themselves? FNC, Foam News Collective, has that info. They've got like a war map of sorts. Anyway, Jang, I think that my next shot of playing is I would love to keep my calendar clear from Maryland Mayhem this coming year. I really want to experience that event. I've sponsored in the past, but in 2025, I'm hoping to take my staff up to Maryland and do that. Let Grandpa show him how it's done. Saw the coverage from that event and felt like my team would have podiumed. I'm not going to say they would have won. There's a lot of really talented people playing these days, but I think that we certainly would have podiumed. Will you be bringing Dauntless to Maryland Mayhem? That would be a fun expedition. Dauntless without Drac versus Drac team without Dauntless players would be very exciting. Plus, it would be good to see you compete in a tournament that you're not running. Would love to see a return to Cold War in Florida. Yeah, Cold War would be in Florida. It would be a Central Florida event if we returned it. That's kind of the whole premise of Cold War. I think one of the biggest strong suits of it would be that it would be easier on my staff if we didn't have to travel and bunk somewhere. Like we could sleep in our own beds and run it with our own resources. But more to the point, if you're going to run a Nerf event in November, it has to be somewhere that's very accessible weather-wise to the general Nerfing population. And the truth is that Florida is very pleasant in November. It's a wonderful time to be down here. And if players even casually wanted to kind of work maybe a small staycation in with it or something along that line, I mean, you know, there's no secret there. Orlando is host to world-class entertainment and restaurants. And so they start a lot of their holiday cheer in November, and it's cheaper than it is in December. So I would love to figure that out. I'd love to have focus on anything while playing. Thankfully, if someone's stepping up this year for RAG to handle even more day up. Very, very cool. Well, I look forward to the coverage. I mean, you guys have always done a top-notch job of that. I really enjoy the live streaming setup. If I could afford Fish, I would have him come out and do something with Foam Pro Tour for sure, because that guy is unbelievably talented. Well, it is 5:04, guys. I think that we're gonna spool it down here. I've got 3 blasters to finish tomorrow, and then I have reviews of brand new product. We've got 3 very exciting new things coming in. We've got some Dart Zone content that we need to film. Some of the stuff that they were showcasing at the Fan Expo while Endwar was going on. I think that I'm going to get to borrow those samples to crank out some content for you guys. And then I just got in some new stuff from the mothership. So I have some brand new samples from Nerf to film as well. But I'm going to knock all that out tomorrow. I'm going to finish up these blasters. And then I've got some Lorcana grinding to do, which we could talk about. It sounds so cheesy. It's a real game. It's a real game. They don't know how to errata their cards, but that's not the point. Yeah, I have some fun business to attend to in card gaming land. Off topic, big fan. My escape back to childhood. Life's taken over, but it's good to see you still killing it. Bradley Burrows, thank you so very much. From the bottom of my heart, I think that's a terrific way to sign off the stream. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning into the live stream. Happy to be here for you know, as much of a portion of your life as you've allowed me to be a content creator within it. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time. Much love. Blast on. Drac out.